Okay, this is the December the 12th Capital Projects Committee meeting. We have an agenda with a couple of items on it that we want to look at. She's not here right now.
Okay.
When she comes back, she's going to come in and sit in on it.
All right, thank you.
So I didn't actually set this agenda, so different ones have put these things on the agenda, which was fine. So I don't know what the questions were and so forth, but with the LED lighting and looking at it over at the different athletic fields, I've actually been talking with a Musco representative today, and he's actually in town. And he was in my office just a few minutes ago, and I asked him to stick around and to actually join us for a few minutes so that if this committee has any questions about the Musco lighting, then he'd be a better one to answer questions than me and give you more information. Now, I do want to say that with the lighting, we were running in the same situation that we did with the bleachers, that things were on the roll. We had quotes starting to come in or bids coming in, and it falls into the same thing that is happening with the bleachers, and that is we can buy the lights from Musco using Sourcewell, which is a cooperative purchasing, and they can price them and so forth. But our plan was to also make them like the GC, and they would actually, through Sourcewell, give us a price for install as well. So since April found out the information she did, that got stopped, and we're having to look at a different situation of actually putting it out to bid and getting bids that direction. So that changes things a little bit. But I will tell you that the price for the lights, they had given us a estimate, a budgetary number, and the prices are actually coming in higher than those budgetary numbers. Now, like I told y'all before, sometimes whenever you take it to actual bid and do it the other direction, the price can actually go down some because there's a few things that is built in there. And talking to Greg, which is the one that's from Musco, he said that one of the parts is his markup that'd be dropped out, and there's a use tax that they had that would come off of that price. So it's going to change the price a little bit and drop it down. But I want to go ahead and open this up to any of y'all that had questions, because somebody wanted it on here for a reason. Looking at the different parts here, we had Cardin Gerald Stadium, which is just looking at the lights, retrofitting the lights to the poles that we have, because I think we have concrete poles out there. It's not the metal ones. I think we actually have the concrete, and the concrete's just as well as the metal.
Yeah, they're good.
Depending
They're
on who
good.
you are, you might like one better than the other. But truly, they do the same thing and so forth. The ones at the softball field at the high school, and that's the softball and the baseball, they, as far as out of what we have, they are probably the worst of the situation, because we still have wood poles. The conduit is not in good shape, or the lighting or the wiring, and the lights also. So it's the full package, and probably out of them, the worst condition on what we have. As far as at Raider Academy, the lights at the soccer field, they were installed about probably 10 to 12 years ago is what I'm thinking. So they're not as old.
Raider
They are
Academy.
on, I'm sorry,
At Raider Academy.
at Raider Academy, the soccer field at Raider Academy.
When they was building a new middle school, so however old.
Right, it's about the same time, which is about 10 years, 10, 11 years ago.
Been that long?
Yeah.
Golly.
And then, but they do have metal poles, so they're in good shape with metal poles. But the lights they're not LEDs. And then one of the things we was trying to do is hit everybody at one time and get them all done. The middle school soccer field, they don't have lights. It was decided years ago whenever they were building the middle school to not light that field.
That's where they went to Raider Academy.
And so right now, there's no poles, no lights, no electricity, nothing there with it. So if you want to say the ones that's in the worst condition, that would be the worst because they don't have anything. Then you have your middle school softball and middle school baseball. Of course, those were installed whenever the middle school was built. Like I said, that was about 10, 11 years ago. Then we have the CCRA tennis court lights. And the way I understand Shay, our maintenance crew put those lights in at the tennis courts. So that's what we have right now. And one of the things that, of course, the board's going to have to decide is whenever the prices come in, what can we do? Can we afford to do everything? Can we not afford? Which is the most priority? Which ones are not? And that's going to be up to the board on deciding that part of it.
And that's what I think. I think the board said was basically a price on all of these and all of your different line items, and then it'd be like, okay, well, we can't do that, but we need to do this one, or we need to do this one, kind of thing. And I think that'd be the way to approach it.
So that's kind of where we are.
Prioritize.
And these are, what we went for was your regular and I'm going to talk for myself, and I've heard it from many people. I would like for us to stay with Musco Lighting, because I've heard only good things about Musco Lighting. They are built in the United States. Everything is completely United States built, but they also stand behind their product. When they use our poles, so they retrofit the lights, it's a 10-year warranty of anything that happens to them, they take care of it on anything. If we get their poles and go that direction, it's 25-year warranty of everything, which is, that's pretty big. So,
Yeah.
Greg just came in. He's from Musco. He's in sales with Musco, and he's the one we was talking to. If you want to come up here, I don't know if anybody's got any questions for you. Do y'all have any questions for Greg?
Well, I have one to ask, since he's the man with the knowledge on it. Take Cardin Gerald Football Stadium, for example. If we go to LED lights, which you can turn on, turn off immediately and all that, and we've seen them now in all the stadiums, they're tying it to the music and things of that nature. What is the idea of a cost of something like that?
That's a great question. The most expensive cost is what we're talking about right now is the actual fixtures.
Yeah.
So to make them flash, to make them do for music, we can, they pick out Who May Do or We Don't Back Down or whatever song.
Yeah.
That's probably $8,000 adder for the school. It's not much. I mean, we're looking at big money, so.
Well, it would be, my question to that pertained to somebody totally separate of the school, the booster club or whatever, that runs the Jumbotron, the big video board and all that, and with the
pay for
music
that.
and everything, and everybody tie together. And that was a question they had was, being able to jump on board with this. If it, if the standard equipment or the equipment you're pricing for this, if it was capable of that later on.
Yeah, it would be.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would be, like an $8,000 adder to do the lights dancing around. What we're seeing, and we just did this at Rutherford County where they did kind of what you guys are talking about.
Mhm.
And then they let the booster clubs pay, like the football, they went to the baseball, football, softball, and say, okay,
Yeah.
if you want to do it, it's $8,000.
Yeah.
But then what we get into is color, and how much color they want, and then that starts adding. That's not 8,000. It adds more money to it.
But that would be all booster club stuff that wouldn't interfere with
What we got going on.
what we got going on right here. So the equipment that you're pricing through to Mr. Kelvin, that stuff would work just fine. And even at a later date, if the club wanted to do that and the board approved them to plug a apparatus into it,
They could do it.
they could do it.
And it
Okay.
talks the same language as your scoreboards and anything you got going on. And it's been a long day. I'm forgetting it. DSL maybe. It's the same language that everybody talks is what we got too.
Okay.
Now I say that $8,000 number. That's when I sell it because I've been Musco 31 years, and on the front end I can sell it. After the fact, it goes through a parts and services where I can't do pricing, and to be honest with you, it may be double that after the fact, just because I can't.
So the
They're
initial,
their own division of Musco that sells after products.
so the initial purchase. So if it's installed at the same time everything's being installed, then it's gonna be basically $8,000.
After that, I can't.
If you wait a year, it might go up and.
It will go up because I won't be involved. And
So if the club wanted to do that and everybody was okay with the apparatus to do that,
they should probably,
they'd have to speak up or for now, probably forever hold their,
because it'll probably go up. Yeah, and I don't have any control over it. But
Yeah.
it's an argument internal with our company, but that's just that's their business model is they sell all this extra stuff after the fact.
yeah.
Kind of, I mean, what Rutherford County did is they did what you guys are doing and got all the numbers back and agreed on stuff, and then they sent out an email and said, hey, if you want this, Booster Club's got to pay for it. You know, now's the time. And then they sent us change orders and we added it to it.
Okay.
But there's
So-
no
so the-
cost of the change order, though.
Yes, sir.
There would be a cost of the change order?
Well, the $8,000.
Okay, yeah.
Just to pay
Yeah,
that.
the
Yes,
club,
sir.
yeah, the club would either pay that and,
What
you
are you
know,
talking about?
the extra pieces and parts that makes the lights work with the music and sound and
Make them
things of that
dancing
nature.
lights.
Yeah,
I mean, they're dancing lights,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I got my phone here, but I could show you real quick.
but that would be easy for Mr. Kelvin to do that and then, like you say, send an email to clubs and go,
Do you want this or do you not? Do you
Yeah.
want to do this or not? Yeah.
now's your chance. And if nobody speaks up by a certain date, then you move on with the,
That would probably need to be part of the bid, wouldn't it?
Well, we could do an alternate because there'll be the electrician's cost.
Good point, good point.
We could do an alternate for sure. Like I'll tell you what I see. You know, because that's what I do, right? I see football as a big buyer into that because they can tie it into the cheerleading and the band in the homecoming court, and then they can have at the beginning of the football game they can do spotlight the national anthem.
you can highlight the center of the field and
Yes,
not
sir.
the end
Coin toss.
zones and really make homecoming pop and things of that, yeah.
Now,
So,
it's really cool. I mean, and then the color just keeps on going from there. You know.
Yeah.
Just-
So, I understand the controller's basically $8,000, but the actual lights would have to be different lights. If you wanted color,
If you want color, it's an additional light. Yeah, it's actually called an RGBW.
yeah, RGB.
Yeah. Or we do a thing called RGBU too that we do that I love. It's at the bottom of the pole and it goes up the pole and it's a color and then it integrates with the shows. And I can email after this meeting for you guys to kind of look at the shows
Okay.
and kind of
you
Right.
send it to me, I'll share
yeah,
with
shoot it
them.
out to everybody. And that's, you know, then you're only talking, I mean, it's money, right? But it's probably $5,000 or $6,000 a fixture. So to do 4 of those.
But the light, the ones that's got the color, does that light actually do the bright white as well? So you don't have to have the bright white one plus the color one. Am I making
It's
sense
all-
on that?
it changes
It's all the
internally.
same
It's
light.
not the same
fixture.
light.
Yeah, it's
different.
exact
It's a
same
different
light.
fixture. The color is a completely different fixture. Sometimes, like if we have lighting for the bleachers for egress, and I have to go back and look at yours. What I do is it does do white too. That I'll do that in an RGBW, so you have your bleacher light egress, and then it's a colored light. So when your shows happen, it changes the silver bleachers different color, and it's a really cool effect too.
Okay,
But the RGBW is a separate fixture than we're talking about.
So-
it's an additional.
so
fixture.
if we're
For color.
at this
But it would
one
be an
pole,
alternate bid.
alternate bid.
so if we're at this one pole, and we're not looking at doing the lights with the color and stuff, there's 10 fixtures on it, okay, or 10 lights.
Yep.
If they wanted to put the color lights, now we would have the 10 lights plus another 5 or 6 lights that's color that would be above,
Yeah.
that would take care of, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh,
that's
I
why
thought,
I'm-
I thought if you had the 10 and you went with RGB, those RGBs would have the capabilities of bright white or color.
No.
See, that's why I was wanting to
They
make sure.
don't.
Okay.
Ours don't. No, because it's so much punch and power to get on the field. RGBWs run about 600 watts, where the football field lights will be 1,500 watts. So it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
completely different fixture.
Well, colored probably, which would be added onto this later on anyways, even if they did do color, but the ability to do
You'd have that
control.
ability anyway. Show
If,
light.
if you stayed with the white lights and you just had the controller to be able to highlight areas of the field or dance and all that with the white lights, that's where you're talking about. It's about
8,000. Yes, sir.
about $8,000.
And then each additional colored light is roughly. I'm just gonna throw a number out, guys. It's let's say 5,000,
Oh,
and
wow.
you'd need 4. So you need $20,000 of color. But It's just
Yeah.
crazy. We had,
It
we
goes
just,
up pretty quick.
I want to say it's not going to be colored, but I think
But-
we
but
might be
what?
able to sell dancing.
well, dancing is, I mean, it's for 7,000, it's a good, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just gives you a different vibe and feel and
But you'd be, you know, and
the
I'm a lot-
ability to spotlight events, homecoming court, coming across the middle of the field, toning other lights down and lighting up the center of the field brighter. That's pretty neat.
And when the guys run on the field to music, and it's cut, and that comes with 2 minutes of custom music, but a show really needs to be about 15 seconds. After about 15, 20 seconds, all that flashing lights kind of gets on. It's a little
Everybody's
much,
nerves.
right? So 2 minutes get you a lot.
Yeah.
But like when they run on the field, then you could do AC/DC and the
Yeah.
light, and you get the stadium pulsating,
Yeah.
and then it goes full bright. It's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like for
Without a
y'all to
doubt.
have it, but and then the color is just another level. People are just going nuts with the color.
Yeah.
It's
Good for
just
them.
crazy.
They got
It's
cash.
just money.
It's just crazy. But at least the show light for that kind of money is I would, if you could do it, I would definitely do it. And then once you have a show light, then the color, if you add color later on, then you go on. You can't
The
have
same
color without show
controller,
light.
but the same controller will still work
Yeah,
with the color.
same
You just
tablet.
add the colored lights later on
Yes,
if
sir.
you made a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, with the controller, is it a 10-year, 25-year type setup?
Same, whatever we sell. If we're doing it on your poles, it'd be 10 years. And if it's on the new poles,
So
it's
same-
25 years.
same
Same thing. The whole system with Musco from ground up is the poles, the foundations, the structure, the lights, the wire harnesses going up the pole, the light levels, which will be TWSA, are guaranteed.
The other thing that we were discussing is the first thing we looked at was 30-foot
Foot
candles, and he said more is going with the 50-foot candles. And one of the things about the way I've always looked at it, and y'all might look at it a little different, if we're going to do the job, we need to do the job right.
Yeah.
And if we're going to go from either 30 to 50, the 50, we need to go ahead and do the 50 and be done with it, rather than doing the 30 and saying, oh, I wish we would have done the 50 because it's not as bright as we'd like.
Yeah, it's
But
still
that's
dark
just
on the
my
end
thought.
zone.
I don't know what
Yeah.
y'all's thinking is on it. But it is a upcharge to go from a 30 to a 50-foot candles quite a bit. It's
Yeah.
pricey.
And that was when I budgeted it, I looked at the side of school and I put 30-foot candles because I thought because that's regulated by TWSA, so just recommendations. But if you have 2,000 or more spectators, it's 50-foot candles, and you have 2,000 or less, then it's 30-foot candles. So that's how that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do y'all have opinion on
We
that
get up
with it?
to what, 9,000, 8,000? Ain't that what's in the stadium of Hope?
Oh,
Holy cow!
I've got
really?
it somewhere.
When have we
It's
been
way
at
up
that
there.
8,000? No. We ain't been at 8,000.
Twice last year. Yes.
Where we do is
Yes.
it's going to be biggest is going to be
You
graduation.
might have missed
Yeah.
some football games, but yeah, we do.
No, Tullahoma, we ain't got 8,000
23
people
and
there.
23, we had
don't know
we
what
had
it
a
is.
bunch
I
of
don't know
games
what
that
it
had a many of people.
Yeah. This is. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's $20,000 a pole?
No,
That's
those
white
are
there.
white.
No.
That's white, yeah,
And then this
okay.
is rough numbers because we got to get contractor to run a cable, but 8,000 to do this. And then if you want to do the color, there's color on these poles here in a minute, then that would be 5,000 poles. And I'm on salary, so I'm not trying to oversell you guys. I just want to show you guys what we can do. I don't want you to
Yeah.
get something and be like, well, Dad, blame it, Greg didn't tell me.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I mean,
I just want to let y'all see.
And you're
Four.
saying that goes up
Just
in the
four, yeah.
future?
Four.
Well, if I don't sell it, I don't control the pricing.
But that would be on the clubs.
they-
That'd be on the club.
That would
Yeah,
be on the
right,
club
but
stuff.
I mean, there's no control over the pricing?
See that?
Well, you got to mobilize,
I
and
know,
then you got to
that's
get
neat.
you got to get people out there to hook it up. And,
You gotta make
yeah, it's just a
200%
lot of that's installation.
profit. That's neat. I mean, I wish we could have all that. That's neat.
And that's all white light right there.
Who
There's
has
no
that?
color. There's no
What
color.
school systems has that? Have that?
Well,
All Rutherford County do.
Rutherford County has it, and some schools do 30-foot candles and do the color.
Yeah.
Because the only
Yeah, 'cause
person
the
that tells
color,
the
you
difference
know,
between
color
30-foot
can
candle
be
football field and a
a lot
50-foot candle
cheaper.
is me. But some do 30-foot candles and then
So,
they
so
spend the
are
money
you
on
saying
the
that,
color.
are you saying that we probably don't need the 50-foot candles? Because it's a significantly increase in price.
We have an awkward football field, in my opinion. We got a lot of lights on our poles, but our poles are very tall and very far back. Our end zones are not real bright, and the colors out there. I mean, I think we need as much light as we can possibly get off 4 poles.
I was just asking for his opinion on
Yeah.
what you thought.
Well, I mean, just to be completely honest, I work with TWSA on light levels and write their standards. Back before LED, 50-foot candles and 30-foot candles was very important. Since LED technology came out, the color of LED is 5600 color temperature, where the old lights were 36. Basically, it's old. You don't know it as much as we all grew up doing it, but it's yellow kind of light. And you've probably seen it at Home Depot when you go buy something for your bathroom, and you have all those different color LEDs, and some are whiter and whatever. So clarity with LED is just awesome. And then all the social media, when you get the moms and the grandmas and the grandpas taking pictures of the kids, it's the same color that we film movies with Musco when I started. I mean, it's premium. So the answer is you don't need, and I'm a light salesman telling you this, I'm probably gonna get fired if Musco heard me tell you this, but you don't
Cut the
need,
lights off?
you don't need as quite as many,
As you
know,
think.
as you think.
So you're saying
But
30
that-
would do what we need
But
to
with that
do?
being said, majority of Tennessee high schools do 50.
30 with
And
an
it looks
LED
great.
would
The more light you
serve
have,
the
like
same purpose.
you're saying, the better. But it's a trade. I mean, if I had 50-foot candles is what y'all stadium, if it's 8,000 people, is probably what you need. That's amazing. But some smaller schools, they've got less seating and less people showing up, and they can do 30, and then they'll do the color with the extra money.
Right.
It's
Well,
just
the
preference.
problem is we don't have the extra money. We're just trying to, in my opinion, we don't have extra money. Because we have so many fields that we're trying to get taken care of. But it's
Well,
something
you
that the board
have
would
you
to
have
look
some
at.
of these on here that could possibly get away with the 30s.
I think football is the only one you actually said,
The football's just a 50, and then softball.
yeah, it's just football.
Yeah, soccer's 30-foot candles, and then baseball, we don't have baseball. We have baseball and football
Yes.
is 50-30. And the reason in 50-foot candles you have to have for the infield because the ball's small, and these kids nowadays are throwing the ball so fast. So that's regulated by, we have standards. And just like
But that
the
wasn't an
TWSA
option.
standards.
That was
That's
pretty
not an
well.
option yet.
That's set, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That was set. Is the football field was the one that was not. It was kind of
I
optional.
did it 30 when I was budgeting.
Right.
This was on me. I was kind of looking around. I'm like, I think they would be okay with 30. And then once I went back and looked at, because we bid on this job when it sold the first time, y'all did 50. So y'all have 50 out there right now.
Okay.
So then that's why I'm like,
got you.
I don't want to go backwards.
And then we got into
So-
the Strobin thing
On
and
the,
clubs.
not to change gears, but on the softball, on our field out there, we've got to go with those poles have been up out there since the field was basically built. Have you been out there to look at them?
Which there would post as well, poles.
Yeah,
Have you been out there to look at them?
Yes, sir.
But whenever we put them up on those poles, because we've got, 4 poles out there, I believe is all that we've got. On those outfield poles, on some of the fields that I've built before, on the new fields, they put up the poles, since it's not so big, they're crank up lights, because on our back field back there, they're hard to get to change the bulbs out if you ever have to do any maintenance to them.
Yeah.
If y'all,
No, sir, we don't use they use a lot of that on the interstate and like interstate section. That's not our, we don't. we
Don't
do
recommend
that,
them?
yeah. Well, that's the cost to be able to do that nowadays, because we have to have an anchor bolt solution and they have to be stamped by a civil engineer. And then when they corrode, they get stuck and you
Sure.
have to get a crane. So we
Yep.
do, what Musco does is we have a precast base, which is concrete in the ground, and then it comes up about 10 foot, and then we have a galvanized slip fit poles that slides down on that concrete.
Mhm.
So we have the strength of the concrete, plus where it's away from the corrosion of the wetness in the ground.
right,
But we have, for install, it helps for our install, and then we're able to provide that 25-year warranty, parts and labor.
good,
by that.
okay.
One of the other things that comes with this by us having to go and bid it out, and we could purchase through collaborative, purchasing with the most, I did the collaborative again. Cooperative, sorry. Okay. For us to do the cooperative purchasing, we can buy the materials through Musco and take care of that part. But when we start breaking it apart, the way I'm understanding, we will have to have an engineer, electrical engineer, to actually do drawings for us and have stamped electrical engineering. So there is going to be a more cost there for us. And I just want to kind of throw everything out there, because it's a cost that if we were able to go the cooperative purchasing on everything, they would be able to take care of that. But in this case, if we break it up, we're going to have to go to an engineer and actually pull that as well. So that's another cost that's going to be out there. And then, of course, just straight out getting somebody to do the installs.
And would you have to have the stamp drawings on just changing the fixtures out on some of these, but only the ones that you're getting into wiring, conduit, and all of that, and
Good
replacing
question.
poles?
I don't know.
And I think that's, I don't know the answer, you know, the code or whatever. I think for the ones that we're changing out, I think that we probably wouldn't.
Right.
I don't, now the tennis and stuff that needs brand new services, like
Yeah.
some of that, I think you probably would or recommend you would.
Yeah, CCMS soccer field, CHS softball, baseball,
All of those would have to have.
and tennis
Engineering.
courts. Yeah. And the tennis courts. But then 1, 2, 3, 4 wouldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
4 with, 4 without. So.
Okay.
And I think, just the last thing though, you're gonna try to look at that in an alternate option deal when you do the
Yes,
bids for,
yes.
that you can shoot out to clubs and go,
Absolutely.
you're in, you're in, you're out, you're out.
On the, so
On the, yeah. And actually, we can do it so that it's the white light with the dancing light, and also put it as an option also for the color if they want it.
before RGBUs. Yeah.
I mean,
I
we
don't
can
know how
actually
much-
put it out and
I
they
don't know how
can say
much money
no.
they got. If they got enough and want to, have at it, but
I just,
it's a lot of money.
I was in this,
And I'll help y'all with the color stuff. I mean, I'm helping you with all this.
All
It's
of
on
it,
Ford
yes.
as well. Anyway, but we won't. I mean, I'll do everything I can.
Yeah.
I mean, to help. With
how
price on
soon
color.
does this need to be done? And let me add to where I'm coming from. I just was on a web with Tennessee School Board Association today. There's a law that they are looking at, and TSB is going to be pushing, and I'm sure a lot of folks will, that will take care of this situation about having to bid out construction projects.
Okay.
Now, whether the legislature will go for it or not, we don't know, but it's supposed to be coming up in this legislative session that, just what you're talking about, that this could come to a head where we will not have to worry about bidding out construction. It can come with a total
Right.
package on maintenance stuff, things like that. So I don't know, of course,
Well-
legislature starts the 14th, but you don't know how soon that's going to get passed or not get passed.
Right.
Or it may not at all, I don't know.
But my goal is this and bleachers is to move forward and getting bids. I'd hate to wait and put it off another year when we've got
Yeah.
the things lined up, and I'd like to kind of get these bleachers things moving forward.
Yeah.
And so forth. So if we can move it forward, I'd like to, but I mean, it's ultimately, if the board wants to hold off, we can.
Well, that may not pass. It's just going to be something.
And then you don't know,
legislature's
right.
gonna have to deal
And
with.
I think,
That's good to know.
I don't think we're gonna get too far off kilter here between the two different routes we gotta do it. If we were gonna pay them to do it all, there might be a little savings there, but by the time they're just selling us equipment, and even though we are piecing these other pieces out, you do stand a chance that you might get it just a touch cheaper. I doubt it. I'm not knocking your pricing, but
But it's possible.
It's
We-
gonna
We've
be-
talked about it. It's
no,
possible.
we've talked about that. Yeah, because I have use tax in that price, and then I had to mark up the contractor 10%. So the only thing that's going
I
the
donate all
answer
the
is
crane
yes.
work
I
around
think it
here all
probably
the
would get
time.
cheaper, but the only thing The loose variable is the electrical engineer drawings. That's gonna be a cost that'll maybe offset some of that. I mean, I'm all for getting it cheap. I just wanna sell lights, however I can do it.
I donate all the crane work to them around here all the time. Don't have much choice.
Ms. Jones, you have any questions for Greg with Musco?
So what we're looking at here is that the football field, you're looking at a 30-foot candle power for that, because LED will put out more lights than it will now, than a regular 30 would now, and 50 for the baseball, softball.
Well,
Is that what-
we're back to that. It's just the TWSA says 50-foot candles is what we gotta have if we have more than, 2,500 seating is what they recommend. So I'm just gonna stay with that. I mean, 50. I didn't realize y'all had that many.
So we
Yeah,
have more
you-
than that seating,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, you have 2,000 to 2,500 people show up that are the system pass stuff all the time.
Yeah.
They're,
So y'all probably do need to do 50, and that's what you have now is 50. And the poles are really big and set back. Was that
yeah,
because
and
everyone had
graduation too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I really couldn't tell you.
It was built back in the 60s.
Okay.
But-
But they're way back, and that's what's driving some of this
But,
cost too.
Dr.
Yeah.
Powell, you may know more information on that. When were those poles actually installed? Do you know?
At the football field,
The concrete ones?
yeah, it would have been, it would been way past the 60s, Scott.
That's
So
what
it-
I was thinking.
It would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of the late 70s or early 80s
Okay.
when they rebuilt the stadium and moved everything on where it. So you remember, at one time, what's now the visitor side was the home side, and then,
Yeah, I think that was 03.
yeah.
I was
when-
gonna say that's about 2000, right in that area, 2000.
Yeah, when we built
Right
up
after I left-
everything,
yeah, right
rebuilt
after
it,
I graduated.
it would have been somewhere, I'd say, in maybe the mid-90s, but when all that was done.
So those you think those poles were put up before the new stadium bleachers?
No, they were put up when the new stadium was built. Those
Yeah.
poles were put up when the stadium was built.
Well,
Okay,
that's
did-
what I was saying. Those poles were put up in the 60s.
Oh, no.
I think he's talking about the new home side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when
You see
we
what I'm saying?
rebuilt, when we rebuilt the stadium and built the new home side, the
Right.
poles were involved in that project.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
So we're looking right around 2000.
Right.
It might have been a year or two before, it might have been a year or two
Yeah.
after, but right around
Yeah,
2000.
late
Yeah,
90s
poles
to
are really-
2000.
Them
yeah.
poles are solid.
They're
Yeah.
good, yeah. I don't think there's any.
Last-
The biggest
last
thing
time
is,
I
I'm
was-
sorry, I didn't know what those you was
the
talking
biggest
about.
thing was the question of why are they further out? And I was wondering if you had any idea.
I
Other than
have
that,
no-
it's just
Other than the
design.
fact that whoever designed the stadium, that's where they put them.
And they're tall. They're
No reason
really
for 'em.
tall.
Yeah, they're big, they're tall poles.
Way up there because,
Uh,
we had to use a lot of boom to get,
Right.
stay back out, which we was able to stay back out in the asphalt and do it.
They got to the point where Duck River would not change them out anymore.
They don't have nothing to reach.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Well,
why
no,
I
I'm
was
talking
going
about on the
out
old poles.
there. Oh,
They
Gotcha.
got to the point where they wouldn't touch them, so we had to get
Had to
new
do
poles.
something.
Yeah.
because I couldn't get Shay to go up in the back.
I keep
Try to
saying,
get somebody to climb them now.
I keep saying I blame them.
Well, it's just Robbie operating.
I got you. I still don't know that I blame them.
That'd be the second reason I wouldn't want to go up.
Okay, are there any other questions about the lights with the athletic fields that we've been talking about in the direction we're looking at as of right now?
Okay, I know this is not on here, but I think it would probably be considered capital outlay instead of maintenance, but is there any funds left where we could update that visitor's bathroom there at the football field? It's pitiful.
My hopes is for us to come up with it in the next year or two of tearing that down and redoing that whole thing. It-
Something needs
another
to be
building
done,
there.
because it's embarrassing. When people leave here and they've gone to that bathroom and talk about us. We're getting all this fancy stuff, and we've got that bathroom that's awful.
it-
Because
it-
I've
Well,
been
you
in
kinda
there, and I
want your
couldn't believe it
opponents
till
to
I
not
went in
have
there
air
myself.
conditioning
But
Make
that's,
that the visitors locker.
Yeah,
but
Well, it is.
whenever
That's
I
what
go
it
to
is.
other
It is.
schools, that's kind of the way I look at, when you go into, it's like going to somebody's house. You feel either comfortable or you feel like, ooh. And
Yeah,
you feel like, ooh, when you go into those bathrooms.
I mean, absolutely. Hey, I'm all for it. If
It
you
doesn't
want
have
to,
to be anything fancy.
if you want to start looking at it right now, we can
I
start
like
looking at it.
Well,
now.
I mean,
But
there's something
it's
to
just-
put on the
Now-
docket down, because Cause I think that needs to be looked at.
It is. If you remember, we went over there and did
Right,
a
but it's just,
visit
oh,
because,
it's on and on
because I
and on.
don't,
It's been-
I don't like it, but also we gotta look at priorities throughout the system.
But
And-
the visitor team doesn't dress over there now, do they? They dress in the
That
new
is-
section.
We're,
And then
yeah,
the
is
officials,
correct.
I think the
Well, I'm-
officials over there,
It's not
correct.
real
That's where-
easy.
Well, it
It's not a
wouldn't, I
real
mean, I
easy
didn't go in
process.
where they dressed. I went in the bathroom where the
yeah,
spectators go, and that's embarrassing.
yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it needs to be redone because that's been there a long
It's
time.
been,
Even if it was
That
just
has
a metal
been there
building.
since the
right
Yeah,
there.
that probably has been.
Just,
there's been discussion on that. It's just, right now, we're looking at some
yeah.
big projects, so
Well, I know that, and but that is something that we need to keep on our radar. 'cause
Don't
that-
disagree.
That's, you know,
Well,
almost
and
like
that's-
having an outhouse.
You know, that could be something clubs look at as well, where they're always fighting for opportunities for concessions and things of that nature. If we still had the biggest majority of it and they done a building, well, then they were dedicated this little area, they done concessions or something. You know, you can work with groups like that. That's kind of how Tullahoma is on that one end on the visitor side. Their club does that building and stuff. But,
Or is that the way,
okay.
because it's kind of like old machine, good old machine over there, you know, when you go to
Yeah.
their concession stand in their bathroom.
Yeah, the
Okay, any
Booster
other
Club
questions?
Takes
The
care of the
Booster
visitor
Club.
side, and I think,
yeah.
I guess the band, I'm not sure who takes care of the home side at Tullahoma. I
So
don't know.
that could
It's up
be,
under the
you know, there
bleachers
could
there,
be
so I don't know.
opportunities there to
Yeah.
push things a little easier and quicker maybe if we had to. But
Are there any other questions for Greg with Musco? If not, I'm going to thank you for coming and,
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Hope I didn't confuse y'all too much.
well, I will definitely be getting in touch with you. We'll be talking some
Yeah,
more
our
and
next
get things
steps, what
set
you
up.
want me to do.
So,
Are-
okay.
Well,
are you a Gilly?
we never did talk
Yeah.
about
I am
the
too.
baseball field
Huh?
at
I
all.
am too. Where
Uh-oh.
you from?
Let's,
Here.
yeah,
Here?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the baseball
from
field,
Lucy.
we never did talk about the baseball field at all, and we didn't talk about the softball field much. But on this baseball field, have you looked at it? What's your recommendations on it?
The baseball field on which school?
High school, at the high school.
That's all new. We've got that, right? Coffee County Central?
Right, because it's wood post now.
Yeah, it'll be all new.
It
Yeah,
would-
yeah, that's
it'd
what
be-
I'm saying.
50/30.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What are we looking at price-wise on it? We would have to have the electrical engineer to do all of that, and that's maybe something too that I don't know that our junction box and that thing is gonna be able to haul, to handle that either.
That's what he'll have to tell us when he kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
Yeah. I haven't dug into the electrical, just the lighting for it.
sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, yeah, we got it all new poles and 50/30. It's TWSA on that one.
okay.
And then, once the electrical engineer looks at it, he'll evaluate kind of what power's out there. I think you have enough power.
Okay,
I think we have enough power.
Well, the thing is, I would think if we have power to run what we have
Yeah.
and we're going to LEDs, which is less power,
Right.
we should be in fine shape for the
That's what I
power.
Right.
think too. That's-
okay,
I don't know about the infrastructure, but as far as the power load, I think we're good on that. The only one that was kind of off was tennis. That's why
Right.
it looks high.
Right.
Because we had to build a new service and bring power in.
okay.
So that was the one that was the only one that I'm worried about getting power there, because what you got now is just more of a recreational level,
Yes, sir.
and the price that I got is for competitive tennis. Kids can play high school tennis.
Okay. So you don't have any pricing at all for the baseball or softball?
It altogether is a bit.
Once again, remember, we're having to pull two things apart. So you have the lighting and then you have, but what we do have what you thought was budgetary numbers.
Yeah, like 450, 500,000 for both.
For
All
baseball
net.
and softball.
All new, yeah, baseball and softball, all new.
How much was that?
450 to 500. Hurts my heart to say that stuff out loud, man.
Well, you gotta say
Over
it
the
out loud
year-
one way
over
or
the years,
another.
I've been doing it 30 years.
Yeah.
I know how much it's went up.
That's what we didn't talk about a while ago is cost-wise, what you're,
But that's everything. That's just not me. That's
No, I
the new
understand.
service and the lights and that's everything.
That's the whole package.
That's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm doing a budget, and I'm sure business guys know, it's
Yeah.
a tricky deal because you want to give a
Oh, I
good
understand.
budget,
sure.
but you don't want to run everybody out of the room either. But hopefully it'll be under that, but that's kind of what we're seeing
So you're basically 300, 250, 275
material.
per field.
Well, the softball. Is
Softball, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
softball's smaller. Softball's,
Sure.
when we bid softball out, they're coming in around, well, I just bid 4 out last month, and they were about 170.
Okay.
That's turnkey. It's baseball baseball's the most expensive
Well,
thing
sure,
that we
you got-
like because it's square footage. Because if a kid's in center field and he's
Mhm.
throwing it and that ball's going, the
Right.
shortstop, you can't have a dark spot, so you got
That's
to
right.
evenly light it.
That's
And
right.
that's more important even than light levels in baseball. Because
Sure.
You don't, how your eye operates, you don't want anybody to get hurt.
Line drives.
So yeah, so when we're lighting it, it's all square footage, and now
Yeah.
these baseball fields, these kids are making them,
Yeah.
they're getting bigger and bigger. So
Bats faster, balls are faster.
yeah, so that's the most expensive thing. It costs more to light a baseball field actually than it does a football field. A football field is a revenue generating sport,
Yeah,
and baseball's not.
right.
Yeah,
But-
baseball's the most expensive thing that we like.
But the baseball's going a whole lot faster than a football. So.
Yeah, exactly. And soccer.
Yeah, yeah, a whole lot faster and a whole lot smaller. So it's, okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It gives us some information of where to go as far as baseball and softball too. So you're talking about baseball is probably, what, 300,000 now?
300, 350. It depends on the center field. I don't have the drawings right in front of me. It depends on how big the center field and sidelines are because it's square footage. Baseball field, we can move the fence in.
I can tell you what they are.
325.
They're-
You can?
Yeah, the outfield in the corner, from the corner is 310 and the other side is 320.
That ain't bad. That's
Yeah.
pretty. That's big. It's not crazy.
Yeah, no, that's what I say, it's not bad. And then we don't have, but we've got probably 25 yards from the foul line to the fence. So,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
I go somewhere and they got 380 on center field.
Oh, no,
340
no,
down
no.
on left field and right
Yeah.
field, and that drives the price way up.
yeah. Yeah, that's their sidelines.
Or they'll have it wrote on the fence, 375, and I'll roll my little roller out, and it'll say 350, and I
Yeah.
won't tell the coach.
Yeah.
I'll just send them pricing out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions? Good question. Any other questions for Greg?
Guess I'm dumb. I thought all baseball fields had to be the same.
No, they don't.
No.
And soccer fields don't either. I didn't know that until I started doing sales. I thought every soccer field was the same. Every football field is the same.
I know. And
but
every
soccer
basketball,
field
every
can be different.
basketball.
Every baseball
court.
field can be different.
The difference in your soccer fields is the fact that if you have it a certain size, you can host tournaments,
Yes, sir.
district
Yes,
tournaments,
sir.
regional tournaments. But if it's a different size, then you can host
That's
regional
why we
district
would have to
tournaments and
move,
things.
we would have to move ours to the football field.
No, well, now we don't. When it was originally built,
No, they just did last year, or the year before, they had to move the tournament, the soccer tournament over to the football field.
Was it because they had to or because they wanted to? get
Field
the-
size, the field size, the one at Raider Academy is not full to length, but the middle school, if we had these lights and we had to have something like that, we wouldn't have to go to the football field, we could go to the middle school if we had lights on the middle school, because there's enough territory and it's marked out
was
full
my-
size.
when
at
when
middle
the
school.
soccer field was built behind the Raider Academy, it was small. And then it was enlarged later on to be able to host tournaments. So apparently they've changed the dimensions on it now. I don't
They
know.
might have, because
Because
I know,
it's been added on to since it
Yeah.
was originally built.
yeah, because we about had a panic attack when the field got, football field got
Yeah, I'll
eaten
have to
alive.
ask our ADs or
Yeah.
our soccer coaches. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead unless we got something else. I need to move
That's
on
it.
to the next item.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Greg. I
Greg.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll
Thank
give you my
you.
card. If y'all have any questions or down the road, let me know. I'll do my very best.
I appreciate you. very
Where are you
much.
out of?
I'm out of Greene County. But I
Greene
promise-
County.
There you go. I am.
Okay, moving on, we have the next item was the classroom and office furniture. I went ahead and,
Yeah,
well, I didn't bring it with me. I
He don't
I
even
actually
know, see,
ran it
next
off
time,
and I've got it on my table in there.
he's gonna install
But
it.
I ran off what
It's just
we
unfortunate.
had on
Thank
the
you.
agenda, not December's, but in November. But it was asked to be put on here. I don't know who asked and what the question was, or or whatnot, but I can go get the information. Like I said, I ran it off, but I left it in my office.
It ain't that far, is it? Like, it's not like it's 100 yards or anything.
You cut us for a minute? Can you cut us?
I have enough for everybody's.
Okay, put us back on hot, Randy.
But Kyle, I do need to have one in front of me.
That's all right.
You can have it once I get done.
I'm sure we ain't afraid.
I appreciate it.
Okay, this is the document that was in our packet in November 11th board meeting. It includes what was on the front with all the different items, kind of pulled together. Then behind it, you can see all the different items individually. Like I said, I don't know what the question was, but that's what we're here to discuss. I can tell you that furniture is something we started, is before I came up here, because I was at East when we got the first. And that was about 8 years ago that we did our first. It was Hickerson and East and Raider Academy. And since then, we have slowly been going through the schools. All the elementaries have been changed out. Middle school, of course, is new. And I say changed out, Deerfield wasn't changed out, of course, because it's new. Raider Academy was changed out. And the high school, with the high school being as large as it is, it's been a process of working our way through the high school. Right now, we still lack a few classrooms. It wasn't many. We still lack the CTE. We still lack the library area, and a few more places on down into the shop area with CTE. But that's what we have. And then there was looking at also on here was the furniture in here. And if you'll notice the corners, there's sharp areas where the corners are broken off. The tables have been put on wheels, the legs. It's raised everything up, so even if you're a tall person, you feel like you're a little kid sitting at these tables. And also the chairs and so forth, if you'll notice them, they are bent, broken, or stained pretty bad. So it was trying to get those updated, and it's just that slow process, so that's where we were. But if there's any questions about it, I'd be glad to talk about it. Another one that we need to work on, and I had started, and I was hoping to bring it to the December board meeting, but once this didn't get a motion even, I stopped it, was the band and the chorus area. So I was hoping to get started on their storage, and they're struggling with storage, and if you could go in there and see what they have, is it working? It's working, yes, but it's in pretty poor condition. So I was hoping to move that direction with them and start moving towards getting them some furniture and upgrading what they have. But that's where we are.
I know it's a board meeting. I think the other board members were concerned with, $95,000. Overall, it was $130,715 for, furniture, and $30,000 here at the central office. I don't think, it may not be any, it seems like this may be another board member that
It's been a
brought that
while,
up.
I think.
But,
It's
know,
November.
is it a priority? Do we
Seems
need this
like-
money for something else? I guess
Yeah, I
that's,
think, was it you or Holly or said something, had said about us, you're right about that. Somebody had said something about we're needing to,
If this
put that
is-
money toward the bleachers or something.
if this is,
It was something that, like I said, it started about 8 years ago. We actually have a line item that is for capital outlay that is labeled furniture, so that money is used towards furniture. And you'll notice there's some some things that's dealing with furniture is also even your whiteboards. There's actually, I think, 1 or 2 whiteboards on here. But I'm just trying to work through the entire school to give our faculties and staffs and students nice furniture to use, because if you've been in education, and Ms. Jones, you know what I'm talking about here, is teachers are some of the biggest scavengers. They'll find a bookcase on the side of the road and say, I could use that in my classroom, and I want to give them something nicer than that. And that's what I was looking at with it, and trying to improve the furniture that our teachers are using. Or is what they're using, is it working? Yes, but I'm trying to make it better and nicer, just like in this room. Like you had said about the visitor side of the football stadium, when we have visitors coming in and they're sitting in stained seats and seeing the tables that, like I said, are broken down and so forth, then it's ultimately, it's what they see in us. So I was just trying to update it, and this was the year I was gonna try to do the boardroom, so.
On this, you know, in some of these areas, I know just from experience, in the past, that if there's projects, federal projects, they furnish their own desks. I mean, is there any way that those projects could pay for those? I mean, are these all general school, like 2 administrative desk chairs, 2 office desk units? Are these general school people, or are they, federal projects?
These are general schools.
So those two office desk units, who would that be for at the central office?
Okay, one is, one is Ashley Jones, and the other one was Sarah Greer.
So they're paid out of general school.
Well, one is gonna be sped, and the
Well,
other one
could
is out
special
of
ed
title.
I mean,
And I don't have the budgeting.
but
I
I
mean,
don't
April, if you wanna
understand
come
that,
up
because
here.
special ed used to pay for their own furniture. And in most cases, especially I mean, I'm just trying to figure out other ways of paying for some of these, where general school can keep some money for other projects that are needed, because there's ways of utilizing funds.
I know that Krista has said several times that the money in title is getting smaller on a regular basis, our portion of it. I know that Mr. Westmoreland is struggling with positions and so forth as well, so. you can-
That's absolutely correct. So all of our federal budgets are very, very tight right now.
Yeah,
Even-
we have a
even
lot of
his-
coaches, and they're paying for a lot of the coaches, is that correct?
Title II is paying for part of the coaches, and then general school picks up the rest. So I think they're split. But the majority of federal, you would think, would be SPED, which is your IDEA pre-K, and IDEA Part B, which is probably the largest part of the federal budgets. And it's pretty tight. We actually are very close on his budget, and we hope that we don't get a decrease, kind of like what Ms. Cole has mentioned with her Title I. So federal budgets are pretty tight. And within like the general budget, we always usually purchase furniture out of the same line. So we have probably been picking up the furniture for those items so we can keep people, for those areas so we can keep people.
And that's only gonna get worse, the way I understand it,
We hope not,
since we
but
did the,
we've been fighting it for probably a couple of years now, just trying to keep.
I know since early
positions and-
spring, after the 7%, that's when I think Miss Krista was like, I got about a year.
Yeah,
then
and we
got
looked
some
at
major
that.
problems.
We all
But
sat
I
down
don't
and-
think any of these pertain to her programs. This furniture doesn't pertain to her programs.
Ashley's-
Special ed,
Miss
Ms. Jones's
Ashley
probably would be.
would be.
Ashley's.
So,
She's.
I mean, that's minor compared to all the rest. It's just, I know it's easy to, come up with a list of things to spend, and,
I think we could probably squeeze it into the budget committee discussion here soon. Next, I think. I mean,
there's needs in our school of furniture.
and I know the
but,
library
I
hasn't
mean,
been updated at the high school in a long time, has it?
That's correct. I think what's there is probably put in 74, or 75, 76.
It's
And
not
that was
on
one of the
here.
goals. It's not on this list. I'm working my way through the high school. That's on my list. It's just not, we're not there yet. And the thing I'm trying to look at is what areas is getting the use as far as is being used the most in the seats in the business is probably getting used a little bit more than the furniture in the library. If you go in the library, the furniture doesn't look that bad. It's dated. But talking to, it's Candy there, that, the way I'm understanding, the legs, it might be stuck, propped underneath, but it's not attached well. So there's problems, and sooner or later, we're gonna need to get that taken care of and get it updated.
Okay, and just like
So-
computer tables, can that not come out of technology?
If Mr. Skipper has the funds.
That'd be Randy's fund.
No, I'm talking about,
Are you talking about CTE?
I think it's the CTE computer tables for business department. He's bought some
he's-
chairs for one room and he'll buy
I'm
a,
It would still
I'm just
come out of-
throwing out suggestions. That doesn't mean that needs to happen, but what I'm saying is, general school's picking up the tab about everything anymore, it seems like. And, programs sometimes have to operate their own program.
Well, there is legislation coming, and that's the only thing I got left to say in capital projects, is legislation is possibly coming to the creation of the Capital Projects Trust,
Yes.
where you can start
Heard that
making
today.
money and drawing
Right.
interest off of your funds that are in capital project line.
That was discussed at our last regional meeting.
Yeah, districts would have the ability to set aside funds in an interest-bearing account that they could use solely for purposes of capital projects, maintenance, new buildings, et cetera. Provides flexibility for districts with capital projects needs while ensuring districts do not have to go through their local funding to get access to these dollars.
Yes, that's being proposed. There's also a proposal coming up along these same lines with budget. There's a proposal coming up that the state would start picking up all pre-K special ed programs.
They pick up a small portion, but it's nothing
It's going,
what
it
we,
would
right now, we
start
get a
falling
small
into the,
grant from
yeah,
state.
it would start falling into the,
Yes,
yeah,
it's just-
pre-K special ed would start falling into our funding formula like everything else is. That's another proposal that's coming up.
It went up, I think it about tripled in size from last year. We got a very small amount last year when TISA came on, and then this year we saw about a $50,000 increase in that grant.
They're trying to make that part of the funding formula.
That interest would accrue and really help.
I think I would
And
still,
we're not-
I think I'd have to, I haven't read that or seen that yet, but, I think the trustee would have to help us because all of our funds are through the trustee, so we would have to set up something with them.
To set up another account. So
But it would all come back to us, though.
From
And
what
surely-
you guys
surely
are
they've
telling
got
me,
a
I haven't read
plan
it.
or guidance with that. If they're
haven't.
gonna initiate,
If it
there's
gets
more
passed.
than just that bullet point of, hey, this could be coming in legislation. Surely they've got a plan to recommend,
I would think so.
this is how you're going to do it.
Right.
But I picked up on that today with the web that I was in from TSBA.
It'd be great. Park a bunch of money there for a little while, just hold on and then make a bunch off the interest, start fixing stuff with interest.
Not only that, you can move it to different places that pays you the most interest too. You know. You can negotiate with banks how much they're gonna pay you in interest.
They don't like me. We'll leave it at that.
any other questions about furniture? Since it's been brought up, do you want me to bring this back to a board meeting or not?
I'll start if y'all don't care. I think we ought to bring it back up at the next board meeting. I think we can discuss options about the, funding of it here shortly, and then I'd be glad to speak on ideas and whatever at that time at the meeting.
No, I certainly want teachers and schools to have everything we can give them. Well, we're not giving them, their taxpayers can give them without breaking the bank. Because I know what it's like to have to go, like you say, and scavenge around and try to find a bookcase or a table or whatever, but.
Chair that ain't broke.
If you're an educator, you've done it.
I'm like Frida, I think the last time when we brought this up, there was no discussion, because I don't think,
We didn't even get a motion.
on my part, I mean, we could bring it back, Frida, I don't know what y'all think, but I don't think there's much to discuss with the people that we can bring it back, but nobody wanted to reply to this, so that's my opinion on it.
Well, I'm hearing to go ahead and add it back to the agenda for January, so I've got to get updated numbers because there's chances of changes, but I can do that. And my goal, like I said, after this is to start working on some this year with band on getting some of theirs taken care of as well, because it's in poor shape. It's in bad shape. And we've got to get, it's one of those things, we can't do it all at once.
No, you
It does
can't,
break
yeah.
the bank. And if I can continue to build and work towards it, sooner or later we get through the whole place. And that's what we've been doing for the past, like I said, 7 years, so 8 years. And just wanted to continue doing that. Okay. That concludes, unless anybody's got something else. That's all I had, or this was on the agenda. And also, we have completed, as far as this 402, so it's time for this next committee meeting. And unless somebody's got something they want to bring up. If not, we're going to conclude, and I'm going to pass it over to whoever for the second meeting, which is budget.